Hey, what's up guys, Thomas Roger here today, and today's video is going to be episode 4 of the Road to Subtracts, and there is some news this week for Subtracts and on the Road to Subtracts, and yeah, let's get on with the video, let's go. So the first thing is that Ed to announce news in the new year of the new album or Subtracts. The article says that rumours have been circulating that a new Ed Sheeran album is imminent. But now we've got a confirmation from the man himself that the time you see him on the North American leg of his Mathematics tour, he'll have some new tunes to play. And then Ed said this on what tells ABC News. There will be new music out by the US tour. Yes, Ed tells ABC News. And there will be more information on that in the new year. Yes, guys, and Ed's new album is reportedly going to be called Subtracts, in keeping with the mathematical names of his previous albums. He reportedly debuted 8 tracks from the new album at London show the other week. Yeah. So yeah, guys, this news article is saying that Ed's going to announce some news in January of 2023. Ed's going to potentially announce Subtracts, potentially, or maybe a single in January, and then Subtracts comes out in February. I'm not entirely too sure, guys. I'm not entirely too sure, but we're gonna get some official news in January on Subtracts, guys. And of course, I'm gonna report on this channel. And yeah, on to the next thing about Subtracts this week. Ed was on the Breakfast Club earlier on this week, and then Ed talks about Subtracts. Yes, guys, the new album Subtracts, and Ed talks about, Ed explained about the album's concept, which is all about dealing with grief, and about the intimate show that Ed played, the intimate church show. And then Ed said he's got a song called Life Goes On, and the lyrics are easy come, hard go, but life goes on. And then I'll play you guys that video in a minute. And then potentially Ed's written 14 songs at the start of 2022 for Subtracts. So Ed, like on the other episode of the Road to Subtracts, where Ed talks about, which had so much crap that went on at the start of the year in 2022, and yeah, so much stuff that which Ed had to write about and couldn't talk to anyone about it, but just had to write songs, and that's pretty much Ed's therapy in that, and yeah. Which is, I like the entire concept of Subtracts, sadly taking someone away from someone's life. It is emotional, and it's going to be a deep, emotional, heart-wrenching of an album. Like, I do think Subtracts is going to be Ed's most personal work to date, and most emotional album to date as well. I think it's going to be Subtracts is going to be Ed's most deep, emotional album ever, I think. But I think Ed's going to do. I think Subtracts. Yeah, I think taking someone away from your life, which is really emotional, and there's going to be a lot of tears when we're going to listen to Subtracts for the first time next year. We're going to have tears in our eyes, or even crying. Yeah, now sorry, and then I'll play you guys the bit of the interview.
Now, what about this new music? So I saw that you did a little secret show, right? A small, intimate show.
That's a really emotional show, man. Like, really, I've sort of made this album. I had like a bunch of stuff happen at the beginning of the year, and I made an album sort of in and around it. And I hadn't played it to anyone. And then I put this show on. It was for a mental health charity. And I did, like what Chappelle does, you take all the phones and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I played all the songs for the first time, and it was really powerful. Seeing reactions at a charity event like that as well, where it's for a certain thing, and the album's kind of lent into my own sort of struggles with that. And it was a really, really good show.
Well, let's talk about it. What was the inspiration for the album?
I had my best friend died in March. Mm-hmm. And it was February the 20th, but as I was heading into a big court case, and then I had another mate die mid-court case, and I had some other stuff in my family that was like health issues, and it was just what it was one of those things, and you know, I've become a problem solver in my friendship group. I'm sure both of you guys are problem solvers in your friendship groups, and there's just certain things you can't solve. And death is one of them, illness is one of them, you know. And it was just I just wrote a record around it, mostly being like cathartic and it being therapeutic for me, because I had no outlet because I was basically in a courtroom every single day, being told that I was like a thief and a liar, and I had like no outlet of talking to people, because I couldn't talk to anyone because I was in this case. And so I just wrote a load of songs that ended up being this album that I think will come out next year. But it's definitely the album I've thought the least about. Like every single album I curate and I get, this is the best song from this week I wrote, and this is the best song this week, and this is just 14 songs that I wrote in the space of, I think, like a week and a half. And then I spent another week recording them, but I've like not thought about it at all. It's just like this is how I feel at this time, and that's it.
So it's an album full of grief, basically.
Totally, yeah. Well, grief and like processing, and like, you know, because I felt when my friend died, like the next day, everyone's life resumed as normal, and I was sort of looking around, being like, no, the world has to stop for a bit. You know, like when the Queen died, the world stopped. Like I just felt like the world had to stop and just take a moment. So there's a song on there called like Life Goes On, and it's basically just lyrics that easy come hard go, but life goes on, because every like the worst day of your life ends and the next day begins, and then it's a totally new day. And it's a lot of processing. Like I've never been to therapy before, and after all of this started sort of speaking to someone, and it's very just opens up your heart.
Well, I'm
and mind
glad to hear that.
Well, thank you.
So I think we already knew that Ed wrote around 25 songs apparently with Aaron Dessner. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Aaron Dessner. Around that time, early 2022, where Ed was dealing with all that crap. And then, yeah, Creates the Lost People for reminding me about it in the comments, you know. Around 25 songs, and Aaron Dessner also wrote or produced with Taylor Swift for her Folklore and Nevermore albums as well. So yeah, and like, you know, like Ed said about the court case, like, you know, the awful allegations, we'll say, yeah, you know, that Ed had to suffer in the courtroom back in early this year, and then losing Jamal and Shane Warne as well, and then someone in his family got elf. Yeah, that's why I think that Subtracks is going to be Ed's most personal and gut-wrenching album to date, because it's going to be so brutally emotional. And yeah, there isn't going to be one or two songs about sad death, but an entire album about it, which I don't think anyone's ready for. Or if people heard the songs at Union Chapel the other week, you know, like people were crying and that because of the songs as well. Yeah, you know. And then in the next two episodes, Ed talks about of how like the concept of his 5 EPs, the mathematical albums, and then Ed confirming subtractions. Yeah, play you guys them videos now.
Now talk to me about math, man. Why is math so important to you? Like, why do you put the math symbols or name them after all your albums?
Well, it was basically I made 5 EPs before I was signed. I had all these songs, and no record label wanted to sign me, and I was waiting to be signed to release these songs. And eventually, when you've done the rounds too many times and everyone's like, no, I was like, well, I guess I should probably just release them myself. So I went on this website called TuneCore that Russ like goes on about. Like, TuneCore's great. So I went on TuneCore and I just started releasing these EPs. And by the 5th EP, I had a plan of 5. I was going to do an acoustic one, a pop one, a live one, a collaborations one, and like a one with a band. And I was like, by the end of that, I'll have generated a fan base and I'll be able to tour. So I released these EPs over the course of a year, and then at the end of it, the record labels were then interested. I signed, and then I had some songs left over, and I was like, well, what should I call it? And I was thinking Plus, because it's the addition onto all the other stuff that I did. And then I was like, if I do Plus, then the next album can be Multiply, because I'm going to take it worldwide and make it bigger. And then the next album was originally Divide was a double album, so it was like half R&B, half acoustic. And then I basically just jumbled them up, and that's what Divide is. And then there's Equals, which was meant to be the final of the 5, which was meant to be the end of the equation of all the genres in one. And then there's the one that I'm bringing out in next year, basically.
What's that one called?
I've actually never confirmed the name of it, but it's called Subtract, and that's going to be the last.
I think we figured that out.
No, and well, lots of people think it's called Minus. I know.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's called Subtract.
It could have been squared.
Yeah, but then after that, technically the 5 mathematicals. I've got like other ideas for stuff, but that's been 12 years of my career of doing that. But it's also just on a marketing point of view, I wanted to have each album, like I loved whenever you Coldplay release an album, you like know that they release an album, even if you see a poster of just like the artwork, you're like, oh, Coldplay are releasing. And I wanted to just do it simply colours, like block colours. So the first album is orange and it has a white plus symbol, and if you saw orange and a white plus symbol, you'd be like, okay, that's Ed's album. The next one was bright green with a black multiply, and then it was bright blue with a divide sign, and it was bright red with an equal sign. And I love the idea of like never having my name or face on anything, and it's just you see a billboard of whatever, a red equal sign, you go, oh, Ed's releasing an album.
So can we expect a new album? You said Subtract is coming.
Yeah, Subtract is coming. There's a new album, and then there's new music. I'm basically like I'm in the most creative part of my life, I feel, because I've the pressure of every album having to be this like gargantuan pop machine is off. I feel like I've had 5 of them now, and I feel like now's the time to actually explore doing stuff and taking risks and just be like, well, because I'm going to be on a stadium tour for 5 years, so even if I put out an album and it bombs, I'm still playing to 92,000 people that night. You know, there's no, I don't feel the pressure of it.
You're going on tour for the next 5 years?
Including this year, yeah, we finish in 2026.
Wow.
That's amazing. So new album comes out beginning of the year.
So we went from
Subtract, maybe,
to
Subtract is coming.
So credits to Teddy is the only one for sending me the clips for Breakfast Club, because I couldn't screen record the clips, but yeah. But thank you, Teddy's one, for sending me the clips, and I couldn't screen record the videos and didn't appear up on my videos for a weird reason, and yeah. And also, she said maybe, I think we both thought of the this idea of, you know, these songs that Ed recorded in lockdown. We thought of the idea maybe the Subtract songs from lockdown could be called Subtract the Lockdown Edition or Subtract the Lockdown Sessions with Italia and more songs on it. That would be amazing, guys. If most of Subtracts now is going to be about grief at the start of 2022 with Jamal and Shane Warne, the court case and all that lot. Potentially the songs that didn't make it on Subtracts, what that Ed wrote during lockdown, they could be on that version of Subtracts. I don't know. There's a song called We Are that Ed wrote when he was around 15 or 16. Right? Yeah. Was it for 15 or 16? And then Ed wrote about a childhood friend who sadly died on a school trip. Yeah, that song never got released. And the only time that song was released on Live at the Bedford 2010 DVD, yeah, and that song never ever appeared on any of his independent albums, EPs or albums. I do think We Are would fit perfectly on Subtracts, I think, if it is about grief, loss, sadness, because We Are is all about that, losing a childhood friend, you know, who, yeah, you know, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I think in this video with the Road Subtracts episode 4, I think the episodes are going a bit sad because we're learning more things about Subtracts now. Like, we know it's going to be lo-fi acoustic, but we didn't know most of Subtracts is going to be about sadness, grief, and all that. I'm just wondering if, spoiler warning, The Hills of Aberfeldy. That song seems about it's going to be like hills and all that. I haven't heard the song, The Hills of Aberfeldy. Would that potentially fit on some tracks? I don't know. We know that could be lo-fi acoustic. Was meant to be a multiply, but yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I can't wait. I announced another name called Life Goes On the Breakfast Club. I love the Breakfast Club interviews so much with Ed. Yeah, and yeah, that's about it this week on the Road Subtracts episode 4. Wow, I can't believe we've done 4 weeks of the Road Subtracts already. Like, it's crazy to think about. Yeah, that's it in this video. Yeah, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.